Well, it's not Thursday. It's the day before Thanksgiving. And welcome to this special edition of a Taco Thursday slash Wednesday edition. Thank you for clicking on this video. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, we put it on Wednesday this week because, hey, look, hey, listen, we want you to spend Thanksgiving with your family, with your friends. You know, it's important that we do this. You can't listen to what the mainstream media is telling you. It says, well, if you didn't vote right, don't spend any time with them. You know, this is what cults do. And I've said this many times the last couple of episodes. You know, if you're alone this year, go spend it with some friends. Find some friends and go enjoy yourself. Have a good meal with them. Or if you're home with your family and you know of a friend or a family member that's alone, invite them over. Give them a plate of something, some food, some wine, and if they don't drink, give them like a nice non-alcoholic beverage. And, that's very important. Very important. Don't let these people trick you into doing what they want you to do. Family is important, and they want to separate you from your family and friends. So, like I said, it's Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving, before the holiday. The Christmas rush is about to start right after it. So, let's go into some things that, a little bit of news and what's going on out there in the anime manga world. First of all, we didn't do this last week, but we should have, and really apologize we don't. But we want to wish Goku and Dragon Ball, they officially turned 40 this year. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Akira Toriyama, God rest his soul, his brilliant soul, is celebrating its 40th birthday. If you haven't watched Damia's been fantastic. If anyone's still saying that it's similar to GT, you're not paying attention to it because it is really, really good, and it reminds us of where Dragon Ball used to be. Remember, before Super and Damia and GT and Z, there was Dragon Ball. And this was out, let's see, what was it, about 85, 86, around there? When the manga started coming out, and by about 88, 89, I think around between 87 and 89, the show was coming out at that point. Nippon Television, a subsidiary of the division, was showing it on their site. You can get it on UHF by where I was. This is before Toonami. Remember, this is before Toonami. Eventually, Toonami picked this up, and I believe I forgot which channel it was. One of the local channels here had picked it up for Saturday morning or weekday or whatever it was for a short period of time. Yeah, I never got through the whole entire series because basically they stopped airing it here in the U.S. Eventually, I picked it up later on, and I still, there's some episodes in between that I missed that I'm just now finally getting to, which I'm watching it on Crunchyroll. And, it's fantastic to see something like this that has, it has a testament to the anime manga world. And to those who have criticized anime and manga. Because basically a show like this has been fantastic for young people and adults. For the kids, adults, teenagers. You don't have to be an anime fan or manga fan to watch this. It's a lot of good action, a lot of good story. It does teach it, you have to remember the premise on here is that Goku, even though he was supposed to have been as a Saiyan warrior, he got his head bumped and doesn't remember, that he should be dominating the earth, is kind-hearted. He was raised by his grandfather, which basically, taught him to be kind-hearted to people. And remember, he gave villains the chance to walk away from the fight. Even though he loves the aggression to fight, and to improve himself. And that's the thing that brings up to the point, to improve the way you are, to improve the, just basically go to your weaknesses and improve them to that point. And basically, give people second chances when you can. And that's what, when you say, well, why should I give Frieza a second chance in situation? He's all evil situation. but that's how kind-hearted he is. He's not. He's going to go for the fight, but also he's going to tell you, listen, you know, you're not going to. One, you're not going to get away with it. Two, I'm going to give you the chance to walk away from this. Why go through all this? Why go through a fight? And that's what makes this such a good series on there, because people complain. They say, "Oh, there's too much sex and stuff like that, and breasts, and you know." But you have to remember, sometimes, hey, listen, a little fan service is okay. Sometimes, if you're an adult watching some of the stuff like High School DxD, you know, a lot of fan service is okay as well. You have to remember, you could put some of this in a comedic sense. And that's what Dragon Ball did, the original Dragon Ball series on there with Goku and Bulma, you know. And the thing is that, hey, listen, he was an innocent young boy. He didn't understand about sex or anything to that nature. And he didn't understand what a girl was. He'd never seen a girl till Bulma. Remember that. So he just didn't understand. To him, the world was something new to explore. And that's what he did. He explored the world. He explored the universe. He looked for the next moment that he can make himself better. So once again, happy birthday, Goku and Dragon Ball. And all the other series on there as well. So going on here, and we're working on this story, but I wanted to bring this up for just a moment. If you knew about the Nexon subpoena for Discord, well, now Netflix, back on November 15th, has subpoenaed Discord in the investigation of the post-production leaks of Rama Half, Don, Squid Game, and a couple of other things that have been going on over at Netflix. Now, say what you will. The person responsible for this, yeah, I'm going to say he did a bad thing, or however he got a hold of this information. Does he work for a division of Netflix or one of the companies that are involved in some of these productions? I don't know. The other half of this comes down to a First Amendment situation here in the U.S. I mean, Netflix is using the DMCA to try to pull this out of Discord. But Discord is a social media site, and it does have Section 230 protections. Now, they're not responsible for what this person posted. Now, they could sit there and clip it off and say, no, we're not going to redirect and stuff like that. But, you know, it's a fine line to this situation. And I'll tell you that. It is a very fine line. And this is why stuff like Section 230 needs to be refined a little bit. Because basically, us content creators and producers, we get attacked every day. I mean, right now you have Legal Mindset and a couple of others that are being attacked by Johnny Somali right now for stupid privacy policy, which I don't believe YouTube is going to basically enforce. Because basically Johnny Somali is a public figure to begin with. And even in this country, there are laws, you know, was it slap cases and stuff like that basically doesn't let you sue for certain things like that. And for what Johnny Somali is doing, he's in deep trouble. He's in very deep trouble. But we'll talk about that on Man with the Show later on as the story develops. But getting back to the Netflix subpoena, I hope a judge kicks this out because, you know, this is not Discord's problem. If they want to go after someone, you know, go find whoever this person is. What is it? The handle is Jace John 4N. The pseudonym for whatever it is. I mean, they find people a lot quicker, you know, as far as terrorists when it comes to this situation. Unless they're like Bin Laden, who've been hiding in somewhere right out in the open, you know, to that point. Well, moving on to manga news. Free Ren Beyond's Journey's End, which happened to be a fantastic anime. And I'm glad they're going to be getting another season of it. Fortunately, for those of you who have been waiting for the next edition to come out, basically it will be taking two. They will be taking 2 weeks off, and basically they will be combining the second and third 2025 issue. That will be out. If it's going to hit in Japan's newsstands about the December 11th, if I'm not mistaken, on that. But it's not the first time they've taken time off for this. But hey, listen, the manga industry and the anime industry is a rough, as they say, a rough bitch to be working in. It's never easy. It's like content creation, also. You're constantly working all the time, and yeah, you're not getting paid enough. And same thing with content creators, we're not getting paid enough to the situation. So we'll look forward to it, and we'll look forward for the next season of Free Rent on there. And speaking of another season, in another world with my smartphone, and basically we've gotten 2 anime seasons out of it. I liked season 1, even though it was not perfect. Season 2 has its issues. I mean, it went from okay, decent, interesting, to a complete dumpster fire to season 2. And I don't know if it's the voice acting, because I know one voice actor I think passed away on there, one of the main voice actors. But I don't think it was the voice acting in general. I think it was the way the storyline went itself. I mean, even the gears. If you look at the gears, as far as the manga, they look nothing like the gears in the anime, and it's just, it was disappointing as well. But the novel itself, the novel series, is coming to a final end. It's coming to its epilogue and prologue, which that's what's going to be happening on there. Shueisha is bringing the Isekai saga to a close, which has been out, I believe. What is it? It debuted in 2013 and picked up in publication for 2015, and of course, manga and anime adaptations with Yen Press and Crunchyroll streaming it later on. J Novel Club published the original light novels in English. I have the light novels, and in fact, I'm almost caught up on the light novels. So, hey, listen, we're coming to an end of it. If you're not familiar with this series, it is an interesting series. God makes a mistake and kills this kid by accident. And basically, he gives him a second chance in a fantasy world. And God asks him, and says, listen, of all the things you want, can I give you something that basically, I'm going to make you a lot stronger, faster there. But is there anything else you need to live your life? And he asks God and says, can I use my cell phone in this world? And he says, well, you could use it, but you can't call home. So he's not allowed to call back on that. But the thing is that the cell phone makes him even more stronger, meets up with his harem, and, it's all this fun, him going through all this insanity where basically, princess falls in love with him, wants to marry him, and he says, oh, I'm too young. And the thing about it is, people, and another way they criticize, oh, they have all this sex in it. No. This main character says, is offered a princess. A princess, what was she, about 13, 14 years old? And he's 16, and he says, I'm too young. He said, well, no, in our world, they say the king's going, we marry that young. And he says, no, my world, I got to be at least 18. He says, okay, we can hold off until then. And that's the situation. And most of his harem are all under the age of 16. And most people say, oh, no, it's cringy. It's cringy because he has all these young girls. Yeah, but he's waiting. He's waiting in time. Even though we know, if some of us know, if you've read the light novel and stuff like that, he's going to marry nine girls and have multiple children. So we know it's going to be somewhat of a happy ending, hopefully, because we don't know what the prologue and the epilogue is going to be like. Will there be a spin-off to the situation? I don't know. I really don't know on that. So we'll wait for that. There is no exact date put onto there, but I believe it's being written as we speak. So we'll look forward to that ending. Will they do a season 3? I don't know. After season two, I really don't know. It's up in the air at this point. There are some anime productions that have come back with second and third seasons and have not done well. Demon Lord Retry goes to that situation. Season two has been horrendous as far as that, and this is what happens. This is what really happens sometimes when you get lazy, which is and that's what happened with Hollywood to that point. So before we get into our story for today, let's get into it. The top 10 anime of the week per Anime Corner. And there's a lot of changes in this week's top 10. So let's start off with the number 10 position that basically it has moved down 2 places. And that's Spirit Chronicles Season 2. Siri Ginzuki, I don't know if I pronounced that right. That's moved into the 10th position. I have not seen this one. Neither the number 9 position anime, which has moved up a notch. That's 2.5 Dimensional Seduction. In the number 8, moving down 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 notches, is Tying the Knot with an Algamani Sister, which I heard this past episode was okay, but not the greatest one. That's probably why it moved down 3 notches. But staying steady for a couple weeks in the 7th position, hasn't moved. It's still strong in number 7. Is it wrong to try to pick up Girls in the Dungeon Season 5? Holding that position, that means the show has been pretty strong. Folks, I have not seen it season 5 yet. Yes, I'm caught up to that situation. But also there's one other announcement to this series, is that this week's episode will not be airing. I don't know what, there's no reason to that nature. It has been delayed. So episode 9 will be scheduled for the week after Thanksgiving, next week on December 5th. So mark that on your calendars, on your scheduling, so you know that basically not to look for this week. In the number 6 position, moving up 3, getting stronger, and I know we got a certain arc coming up that supposedly manga readers liked this arc that's coming up on this series, is Demon Lord 2099. I haven't caught up to the last 2 episodes yet, so I'm still haven't done that at all, but from what I've seen, it looks pretty. It's a good premise. It's a good premise on there. Moving to the 5th position, down 1, is Blue Box. Then moving to the 4th position, down 2 this week. It's been dropping. I mean, maybe it's because it was the mid-season finale. We're not going to get this. I haven't watched the last episode as of yet. I mean, has been fantastic. It will end up in the top 5 for this year. Will it be number 1? That's very hard to say at this point. It's ReZero Starting Life in Another World Season 3, down 2 notches on there. And then in the number 3 position, moving up 3, is Blue Lock Season 2. A lot of people have been talking about this lately. Then coming down 1 after its fantastic previous week episode. I think the past episode itself also was very good. We saw one of the main characters transform in this one. The aliens have returned on this. I think it was a pretty funny on there with using someone's privates as a baseball, which was fun as well to see that happen. Down 1. And the number 1, moving back up to the top, up 2 positions. Of course, you're going to say it. Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War, The Conflict. I mean, this is it jostling around with a lot of these. From what I'm standing here, Bleach is going to end up in the top 5. ReZero. I believe, 2.5 Dimensional Seduction might end up in there as well. But it's hard to say. Will Dragon Ball end up in the top 5 anime this year? Damiya, will they be in the top 5, top 10 this year? There's a lot that's going on. There was a lot at the beginning of the year also that's still in contention, even though those shows have gone into their hiatus mode or into their mid-season mode, which they'll be back early next year. Because remember, one thing about the winter season, a lot of shows are coming back heavy, and it attracts a lot of people to come back on there because and I understand why they do this. I mean, hey, listen, network TV was doing this long before anime itself. We used to just go through the entire season. Now they're taking mid-season breaks, which is a smart thing to do. Keep it in the fans' mind, and you'll go back and see it again. I mean, when he comes back from his break, you're going to go refresh your memory. Go back and watch all those episodes again. It's like some things that I do. I watch it in Japanese subtitle, and when the new season comes around, I'll watch it in English dub, so at least I get a little difference between the two. Because a lot of times, like what's happening with Rama Half right now, you're getting some mistranslation, some changes in the translation, and this is to that situation. And this is why one of the reasons, and we're still working on the story because there's a lot of weird rumors are coming out after this was announced that Sony is in talks with Katakawa, whether that's true or not. And there's another thing that Katakawa did not want to get bought out by a Korean firm, so they ran to Sony for protection to say, hey, listen, you want to make a deal, I'd rather have you on the rail. But the thing about it is, that's going to be a big mistake for Katakawa if that's true. It's going to turn Sony into a monopoly. And I know the feds here, now that we're going into a new president and coming in January, the feds have to get on this as far as the trade commissions and stuff like that, because for Sony to own this much is a problem. And the thing is, we need more. And people say, well, come on. No, we need competition. See, this is why Google will be broken up soon. Yeah, that's going to happen. Chrome is going to be sold off. And probably maybe YouTube and something else. Because right now, you have a situation where Google's too big for its britches. It doesn't have enough competition out there. The competition is not strong out there for all the services that Google offers. And this happens, same thing with Ma Bell. I mean, we're writing that story right now with Man with the show, but just to say, I grew up with one phone company. Yeah, that's right. It was nothing but AT&T, but we called it Ma Bell back in the day, and then it became AT&T when they split it up. I mean, we have Verizon now, we have Metro, PCS, and T-Mobile Sprint and all that. But before cell phones and all that, we had one phone company. One. Think about that for a minute. Think about that, how one company owning everything, all the resources as far as your phone calls. Meaning that basically if you had a problem with them, you were stuck with them. And like I said, there were no cell phones at that time. Who were you going to go to? You said no one else was able to step in as competition. It was very difficult at that time period. But the government decided to split them up, and that's what they did. And this is what we have today, especially now that we are in a cell phone technology era, which we use a lot on our cell phones. So that's our top 10 for this week. Be sure to stay tuned. Next week, we'll have our next level on that right after the holidays as we return back on Otaku Thursday. Otaku Thursday on, I believe that's December 5th. That's right, December 5th, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back at our regular time and date. So, in this short version and holiday edition on there, we're going to end with this. And we've talked about this before. I think about a year ago. If you're familiar with Assassination Classroom, it's a great manga and it's a great anime. It's very, Very well done. Very, very well done. And I really, really do enjoy it. And we knew that they were trying to remove it from schools in one of the school districts last year. Well, it looks like another school district will be removing it this year. Now, before we go any further with this, I'm not really going to call this banned. I mean, a lot of people said they're banning the books, they're banning this, they're banning this. It's being removed from the high school libraries, or it's being removed from the curriculum. Because a book ban means that you can't go out and buy it. As what happened to those Dr. Seuss books that were basically removed because people thought it was racist because of the caricatures that were depicted in that. But they're characters. They're fictional. They don't represent reality. And that's one thing people don't understand. Those who are critics of cartoons and anime and manga and actually regular movies and TV series and stuff like that. You know, you could have historical events, stuff representing on them. There is some exaggeration, so that's where you have to take it as a grain of salt, unless you can straight out prove that, yes, that this is all true of them, like what happened with Yasuke and the Japanese situation on that, where someone said, well, yeah, it's all true that, there was a black samurai on there, but not understanding what the historical events were. People want to put people in things that doesn't really exist. And that's the truth of the situation. But we're going to read into this. We're going to read this article out of Otaku USA magazine. School district bans assassination classroom after mom says high schoolers' brain can't handle it. Really? Their brains can't handle it. I mean, this is the most ridiculous thing to say. The Horry County School, which I believe is North Carolina, has officially banned assassination classroom from its district after a mother made a complaint. Jennifer Hannigan, the mother, learned about assassination classroom after her high school daughter brought it home from the school library. Even if I didn't have children, I would not want a child to read this book, she told the press. Particularly took offense to the comedy science fiction manga's portrayal of violence. Speaking about readers, her daughter's age reading Assassination Classroom, she remarked, "We're giving them too much adult material than their brains can handle, and I think that's a problem." The news depicted Hannigan's as flipping through the book, but didn't specify whether or not she read it. See, here we go. Another parent or critic that did not read the material. After putting in the complaint, Assassination Classroom went through a process to decide whether or not to keep the book available to students. In the end, the schools decided to ban it. And here's the letter that was made public. Dear Ms. Hannigan, on September 20th, you met with the principal, Jeremy Rich, to formally request reconsideration of the book title found in the Media Center collection of the Skolati High School. The book Assassination Classroom by Yusei Matsui was presented to a district reconsideration committee, which was formed to review the book in accordance with district policies. Following the review, the district reconsideration committee made the recommendation for this title to be removed from the HCC Media Center's collection. As outlined by HCS district policy, the committee's decision, and if applicable, the local board review regarding the appropriateness of the book or reading material cannot be challenged again until the expiration of 5 years from the original challenge date. This concludes the review of this matter. Book bans against manga or otherwise have gone up in recent years. Assassination Classroom is the most banned manga in the country. As stated in this letter, it will be at least 5 years before high schoolers could have a chance to access it through this district. But it's not going to stop parents from buying it, or these are high schoolers. There's no restrictions to buy it in a bookstore or manga center or comic book store. There is no restriction on assassination. I can understand with, say, high school D&D, Bible Black, or any of those other situations where basically there's a lot of nudity because they say, well, they're in their underwear and stuff like that. That's not, to put in certain premises that it's not something for rating that would be for just adults only over 18. So you have to remember that. And going back to something that was said in this article, she said that she's particularly took offense to the comedy's science fiction manga portrayal of violence. Yeah, it is science fiction. This whole story is science fiction. Have you not grown up with Looney Tunes? Have you not? A Bugs Bunny cartoon where Anvil dropped on Elmer Fudd? That's cartoon violence. Science fiction. Wile E. Coyote standing off a cliff where he's standing and he's not falling, and then he notices down that there's no ground below him, and then he falls. See, this is the stupidity that happens with people like this. I don't know her from one person to another, but reading what this is and how this has come forward, she hasn't read it. She doesn't understand it. She doesn't understand that basically the premise of this is that the children are there to save the earth. Number one. Number two, those weapons are not meant to harm human beings. They're only meant to harm the alien that's teaching them. An alien that says, I want to teach kids, even though I might destroy the earth, but I may decide, may not decide. I'm not going to give away the reason why he did it, but there is a good reason for that. But the thing is that this is a fun-loving alien who basically is upset about something, but wants to still give to the world. And is teaching these children's values. See, that's the thing that they don't want to get, is that some of these cartoons, these animes, these mangas, teach things. As I said earlier with the Dragon Ball series, the original Dragon Ball, the Goku character. Goku teaches innocence. He has an innocent, demeanor to him. Yes, he will get into a fight. He looks to strive to better himself. But he gives his enemies a chance to walk away from the fight. What is it? You don't hear that. A lot of other people say, well, you gotta fight. You have to fight this situation. No, you have an anime character that's sitting there and says, listen, yeah, we're going to fight. But hey, let's take this moment. Maybe you might want to walk away from this. Put that in your mind. And like I said, these are people that will flip through the books. But when it comes down, and I'll tell you this, with these school committees, a lot of them are okay with, the books that have been coming out lately that, that teaches sex to young children. Yeah, I said it. Listen, I'm not saying to ban those books, but they don't belong in grammar school. They don't belong in early high school. I mean, if they want to teach sex to that situation, there is biology. And then, of course, the sex itself is in the hands of the parents. It's called the birds and the bees. See, that's what the thing about it is. There are people that are very bad actors out there that think that children should be more sexually active. And when it comes down to it, and those of us out here that says, no, we don't want that. Assassination classroom in a grammar school library? No, I wouldn't want that for a young kid like that. High school? Yes, their brains can handle that. If they can watch a regular TV series, American action flick, horror flick, anything of the nature, if they can watch a Looney Tunes cartoon, they can watch or read Assassination Classroom. You got to remember, the other half of this, Manga has been making kids read more often. The same thing happened with Goosebumps and Harry Potter. Kids picked up books in a time period where reading and math scores are at its lowest. here in the United States. And I'm not talking grammar school kids. I'm talking high school kids, teenagers. They can't properly read, write, do arithmetic. I mean, we just recently, New York's got there's an article come out. We're working for Manga with the show that the region scores are atrocious. They're atrocious. These algebra math courses, they haven't been doing anything good. And goes from trying to change the curriculum to make it more equitable, to make it more racially diverse to that nature. But that's the wrong thing to do. You have to teach. Yes, you could spend time with certain kids. Every kid is not going to pick up everything. When I was a young kid, let me tell you, when I was in grammar school, I did have my issues at first for a bit. Some of it was because of my eyes. I didn't know that when early in my school year, and I had to get glasses. That was a problem for me, and now I still wear glasses today. The other half was basically the level that they were teaching at. I wasn't picking it up fast at first. But what my school did, and this was a Catholic grammar school. I went to Catholic grammar. Let me start off with this. My kindergarten was in public school. My grammar school was in Catholic school. My high school was in Catholic school as well. Now, in grammar school, when kids had problems with their reading, their writing, their arithmetic, they had a separate classroom to the side with a teacher. And what it was, they spent time with the certain students to help them catch up. They don't really do that anymore, as far as I know from the New York school system. I haven't heard that. I know a teacher or two, and basically, they've always emphasized on me that these kids are way behind. They're not picking up what they should be, the important stuff on there. Because what they're throwing at them, a lot of stuff they're throwing at them is a lot of politics and this DEI situation and critical race theory and a lot of the other stuff that shouldn't belong especially in a grammar school. If you want to talk about, and it's a waste of time in college, you want to do, social services and stuff like that, let the kids take it in college, but it doesn't do them well because basically they're not going to get anything out of it at the end. It doesn't help them in the job market. You have many guys, the conservatives that have said, hey, listen, and I said it here on Man with the Show, go to trade schools, forget college. Go learn to work with your hands. People are taking social courses, communications, but nobody's taking engineering like they used to. You know how much money you can make? How much a plumber makes? How much a electronics engineer makes? Or someone, architectural or construction or anything like that? They make a lot of money. You have a lot of kids that say, well, I want to make the quick buck and work in content creation. I'll tell you honestly, for those of you thinking to get into this business, unless you have a knack for it, it's not an easy business to be in. Whether it's YouTube, whether it's OnlyFans, whether it's Instagram, because you're inundated with people that says, I've been successful and all that. But look what has happened to them. Pay attention to the end of their stories and the problems that they're having now. Because there are lines you don't cross, and some of these people have crossed the lines. Yeah, I say this. I've been doing this since high school, okay? Yes, I know there was no YouTube back then, but I was doing this on public access. I was doing this long before the internet was well into fruition. Think about that for a minute. I, myself, and many others, and some of us have moved on into the industry. I discussed this on one of the other editions. I had a friend of mine who got me into the industry. He got into news. He got into acting. He's done movies. He's done TV series. He's made a decent name himself. I mean, is he a big A-lister superstar? No, but he has a great family, lives in a great home, and he's very comfortable in what he does. He's very good at what he does. Why I haven't seen him up on top? Hey, listen, some people they have the knack, but there are those out there that just basically just don't like certain people. They don't like how we talk, how we handle our things, and stuff like that. That's why you see us, the main content creators being criticized on a constant basis, like Nerdrotic and many others. But not getting away from Assassination Classroom, the other half of this, and to bring up this, when I was in high school, the big thing was to read Catcher in the Rye of J.D. Salinger, Glass Menagerie, and many other books. And remember, I said I was in Catholic high school, and we read A Catcher in the Rye. I mean, that's basically a book that a lot of Catholic groups were denying at certain points because of its content. But some people finally got to read some of it and said, high schoolers can handle that. I wouldn't recommend it for grade school, like they did in South Park. They had the kids were like, oh yeah, do it, and then the kids were like, this kid was a whiny bitch, if you remember that from South Park. But there are many books, novels, literature that, yes, we should teach in high school. I don't think a grammar school kid is ready for that as of yet. Same thing with certain manga. Assassination Classroom, yeah, it's okay for high school. I don't know where this woman gets the thought that basically, saying, well, their brains are not developing enough to understand it. I think there's if they're reading Catcher in the Rye, if they're reading Shakespeare, Hamlet, or any of the others, I think they can read Assassination Classroom. Because if take it for example of Shakespeare, because I know some schools want you to read Shakespeare. Some of it's pretty bloody. There are certain Shakespearean stories that are just real. I mean, you just look at Hamlet. How many people die in Hamlet? Think about that for a minute. See, another thing, and I totally forgot about this, and it brings it up into my mind. In high school, we had a human relations class, a real good one. And you may think to yourself, oh, you're in Catholic school. They were teaching about, they were indoctrinate you in religion. No, actually, the human relations class, there were times where we watched movies, real good blockbusters. For example, Terms of Endearment was one that we discussed. In our history class, we discussed a couple of the war films on there as well. The correlation between a war film and the historical events situation. Terms of Endearment to basically relationships on there. On Golden Pond was another one that was shown to us. Because they were teaching us about people. These was not Catholic-driven stories. These were stories about people in general and the lives that goes on with them. Because basically you could sit there and throw every Catholic written movie on there, which, it does have a message. But some of the dramas that were made out there that aren't religiously driven were fantastically made. That's why they won Oscars and won acclaim for their, productions, because basically they showed the light of people in this. And this is one of the things with Assassination Classroom. Yeah, it's science fiction. But it has a message to the point where you have kids, and these kids are basically how can I say, outsiders. They're not well liked in their regular classrooms. These were basically kids that just, some of them might have had educational problems as far as, learning disabilities and stuff like that. But this alien took the moment, even though the governments of the world says, please destroy this creature because he's going to destroy the world. He took time out before going to destroy the world to teach these kids the values of an education and the values of life itself. That's important. That's an important direction. Yeah, it has a little violence to the nature, but that violence is directed at the alien. Not saying that we're directing at a teacher, but in a way, you could put to the point, removing the weapons situation, is that if you go to a local school these days, teachers have a hard time teaching kids and sometimes are violently attacked. And it's nothing to do with anime or manga. A lot of them are because they have fatherless homes, that basically they've not been educated well enough to respect authority, because it's not only the teachers that they will attack, they'll go after law enforcement, or if they're in a store, they'll disregard the workers or the security guards or anybody else or any adult figure, and saying, no, you shouldn't do that. And they're like, F you, to that situation. But once again, you look at the assassination classroom, and this is what they're teaching. Is not that they're teaching to improve the lives of these kids. And that's important. That is very important in life. And finally, what's important in life is for you out there to get out, get with your family. It's not too late. It's never too late to show up at your family's house and have some Thanksgiving. Or, if you're able to, invite them over to your house. Make Thanksgiving dinner. Or invite a potluck. Do all this stuff. We need to continue the human experience. Companionship, friendship, family. We need all of that in our lives. And there are those who want to take away that from our lives. There are people, who, like I said, who don't understand the anime and manga industry, but they should, because it's entertainment. It is art, like every other entertainment on there. But there are those who will try to twist things and turn things that basically to bend to their whim, like the media has been doing of late, telling you if someone voted for the Orange Man, don't invite them over. If you don't like their opinions, don't have them over. But once again, I said, these are cults. These are cults. Don't become part of their cult. Enjoy the holidays. Because that is one thing that's very important in our lives. That's the thing that, if you ever watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Grinch stole everything. He stole all their food, he stole their presents, the Christmas tree, their ornaments, but he couldn't stop Christmas. Why? Because Christmas comes from inside the heart and in the mind itself. That's the strength of the holidays. Is if you believe strong enough that, we can have a family holiday together, enjoy the time, and not let people destroy that, it will survive. You can't kill a holiday, really, truly, as much as people still believe in it. We talked about Saks Fifth Avenue on that not putting up the lights. Why? They said we didn't have enough money. Me, honestly, I'll tell you, I think it had more to be someone trying to ruin Christmas. Because you go over to Macy's on Herald Square, it's beautiful. Lights are up, it's all bright and shiny. So, comment in the lines below. Let me know your thoughts about this. Let me know your thoughts on all that we discussed on this edition of Taco Wednesday instead of Thursday. And let me know there. Don't forget to hit that like, share this video, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a happy, safe, and healthy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you on the opposite end next week as we get into the holiday season, the end of the year, the top anime for the year we're coming up to. And enjoy yourself. Have a good one. And once again, happy Thanksgiving and bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching, commenting, and sharing this video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe as this helps the reach of this channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help support this channel as new internet laws around the world will diminish our reach and affect our sponsors. If you choose to help, there are two ways listed in the description below. The first link will lead you to a pay site where you can make a monetary donation. The second will lead you to our gear shop where you can buy shirts, mugs, and other gear. Discounts will be listed on the site. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.
Fuck all what you think, bitch. Make sure let me think this.